Hey guys, Mike from Chassis Parts Online. This is part 4 of this 56 F-100, prototyping the narrow crossmember. Where we left off yesterday, I got all those tubes welded on both sides, and the next plan was to bolt these pieces on with the strip on top so that I could bolt these down from the top too. Okay, that strip right there, 38 inches long, it's going to go on here. Now, one thing I've run into is when I had both these pieces bolted on, the distance across here is about 29 and a quarter, and I really need it to be about 29 and a 16th or so. 29 basically is what the cross member for the 65 to 79 is. So I'm going to make some adjustments to this as I put this on, and in the future those tubes, instead of being 2 inches, they'll probably be 2 and almost an eighth, maybe a hair under an eighth. I'll just have to see. I may have to measure some other frames to see how close they are to one another. We'll just get into that as it comes. But I'm going to put these on this morning. Yep, I'm under the weather again, but I got to go to work. So I'm going to weld these on. Then we'll mock this up on the frame. I'll figure out where the holes got to go. I know that there's 2 holes right here in the middle where the upper control arm mount is, okay? So we're definitely going to have 2 holes there. Now there's 2 other holes back here. These are on top of the frame. And as you can see, they're on top of the frame on that side too. The problem is that since they're under the cab, I'm not going to be able to ream those out to 1/2 inch because it's just too hard to get a bit in there. And that would also require customers doing the same thing on there. So we'll leave those, and we'll put some 3/8 bolts in them. I'll have some, I think I've got some 3/8 weld-on nuts. If I don't, I'll order some. I thought I already had some, but if not, I'll get some. So that would be 2 bolts there, 2 bolts here, and that strip's going to come all the way up to here. So maybe another bolt here and another bolt right in here somewhere. I don't think we're going to put a strip across the bottom. With that cross member bolted in there, that thing will be pretty stiff. We'll just have to see how it looks and feels when we get it together. And then if we need to make any adjustments, we may end up having to put a strip in the bottom. There's already some holes in the bottom, in the flat part down there and on the angled part, and even right there. That hole right there is that hole right there is where the rubber snubber was, right over the axle center line. So we've even got a little small hole there and another hole up the front. I don't think we're going to need any of those holes, but if we need them, they're there. So let me get this welded on both sides. I've got another one that I cut in the shop. I'll get these welded on. We'll get this test fit on here and see how it looks. Mark our holes. We'll mark those back holes that are already in the frame. The front holes I'll have to build the upper control arm mount, set it on here, and mark those holes and drill those through the frame and through the plate. Those there I can mark it and then drill those after I take it back off. I may go ahead and drill the holes there, and then the front, probably if I'm going to have one here in the front and one in the middle, I'll make all those 3/8. The only ones that won't be 3/8 will be the ones where the upper control arm mount is, and we'll take it from there. Okay, there's that welded on. I should have put a bigger groove in that before I welded it. But it is what it is. Damn, it's hot too. I'll get this bolted on. See how it fits. Damn, I hope it fits. All my measurements say it's going to fit, so we'll see. Okay, I've got this side tacked in, some bolts sticking through there. Yeah. Looks pretty good. So, I think it's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and take that piece right there, weld the plate on top of it, and mount it over there. And then I think I'm going to check my measurement in the middle. If it's not right, I'm going to do something different to make it right. And then I will drill my holes. I'll make that mount first so I can make my holes right there. And I'll mark the rest of my holes on the top. I'll have to mark those two and then drill this one if I want one there, and this one too on both sides. But I'll mark from an existing hole back there to the front here so I can know what my measurement is. That should be pretty stiff, man. That thing on both sides. I think if I was the customer, I would go ahead and plate this frame on back. I think he talked about doing that, but I'm not sure. With this big a motor, I think I would do that. You got some structure here across the front, but I mean, you only got the radiator and the front end sitting on that, so I think you're good to go there. Plus, this thing had a leaf spring mount right there that held up the front end. It's not going to hold up anything now, really, except for the sheet metal in the radiator, some other parts. So, let me get that back together. I'll get both sides on and see where we're at. We're running out of time this morning, right up against it. So, I don't know if I'm going to get back to this morning. I may have to go in the shop and do some work. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, I got this one welded onto top piece, but it's a little hot, so I can't put it on right now. So what I'm going to do is, we are right up against it. I'm going to stop for the day, unless I can come up with some time later on. Now, I may take these inside and fill those holes like we talked about in the last episode, if I get time later today, because once I do that, I can put primer on these things and they can be final installed on this thing. So I'll let that cool down, see if I can work in some time later on. If not, then we'll pick this back up tomorrow and get back to the part I know how to do, and that is building the actual cross member for the center of it. Till then, peace. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends.